Hello everyone, it's me Gaggle, and today we're going to take a look at the Mordekaiser rework. Now this has not hit the PvE, they just teased this a few days ago, and the stats and scaling was put on the wiki, so we're going to take a look at this and just see where he could possibly fit in the current meta, or just League in general, and how successful of a rework this will probably be. So yeah, let's jump into it. So first things first, let's talk about just kind of the design. Mordekaiser is designed to be a AP fighter of sorts, and his design will probably be seen in the top role predominantly, and possibly mid with in less oppressive matchups. So let's get into his kit and see what Riot has got for us. So his passive here is that he deals 40% AP bonus magic damage on hit. His basic attacks. This is good for auto trading with melee champions in top lane. It's good for last hitting. It's good for pushing waves. It's good for, this might actually mean he can take towers much quicker, so this could give him a strong split push option. After 3 basic attacks or abilities, it deals magic damage per second to nearby enemies and grants you move speed until he is out of non-minion combat, so until he is out of combat with other players. So this just means that if you start to auto attack someone, they're going to start taking damage and you're going to be able to run them down. Or if you take a 3 auto trade in lane, you should be able to back off before much retaliation is given. This is, all in all, this is a relatively strong passive that gives him good last hitting, good trading, and just gives him good DOT damage to synergize with items such as Leandries. And just some good max health damage, which means he is going to be good versus tanks and bruiser champions that would like to build health. So that looks pretty good. So his Q Obliterate is a active ability where he smashes in a direction, dealing magic damage to all enemies hit, and it increases if it only hits one enemy. So this is just some wave clear, some melee range wave clear. It has decent scaling. It's got good base, decent scaling, and versus single target, the damage increase is pretty substantial. So when trading, it's going to be a skill to maneuver outside of minion waves to be able to hit this without interfering and getting the damage reduction from hitting multiple targets. And this also kind of means that when playing against a Mordekaiser, you want to position near minions, so if he goes in for a damage trade with his Obliterate, that he does significantly less damage. Alright, so let's move on to his W. And this gets to a quite low cooldown, 10 to 4 seconds. I assume this will be what you max first. Haven't quite looked at everything, but seeing as how the damage goes up quite high and the base damage is quite high, this does look like an ability that you will be maxing first. So his W, Indestructible, so 25% of the damage he deals steals as a potential shield, a secondary resource bar, up to 25% of his max health, and it has a minimum of 5% of his max health. So shield can't be any smaller than 5% of his max health, can't be any larger than 25%. So the first shield cast, he shields himself for 4 seconds, and then it starts to decay, and then he can recast it to heal. So this means that you store up damage, and then as you go into take a trade, you pop this so you don't take any damage, and you can second pop it again to get healing. If you are lower on HP, this is just a fantastic trading tool. Gives him a large shield in team fights. The healing amount, or the healing effect, is more relevant for 1v1s than it is for team fight situations. In team fight situations, you'll probably just want to have as big of a shield as possible, throw it up, and just let it soak damage for you as you get in there and start brawling with the enemy champions. So Also importantly, this does confirm that he is still not a mana champion, as his secondary resource bar is this ability. So this means as an AP champion, he doesn't have to itemize into mana-giving items, such as Lunens or possibly a tier or a GLP, which means he can go right into something like a Proto Belt or a Gunblade if he wants. And his Desk Grasp, the passive here is Magic Pen. And also the only thing that seems to scale here with levels is the cooldown, so this is probably the last thing you'll be maxing. And then for Death Grasp, the passive on this was he gains Magic Pen, 5 to 25%. 25% is a good value. That's, more than half of Wade Staff worth of Magic Pen, so that is quite powerful versus champions that build MR. And it will be a very nice passive. And the active on it is, after a small delay, he pulls enemies in the target area over a fixed distance, dealing magic damage. So this is just a small pull and delayed small pull in CC. This is pretty decent, kind of something standard to, probably similar to a Swain E, but without the part where he throws the claw out. So yep, just some decent CC and some Magic Pen on the passive, which is quite strong. And his ult is the thing that most people are talking about. His interesting thing, his new ability, is that he creates a death realm around the target champion, during which he and the target are blocked to move out of the pit, and it remains till 7 seconds or till one of the effective champions dies. So, so whenever you are in this realm with Mordekaiser, nothing else affects you, except for towers. Towers still exist in this realm, but nothing else affects you. So you can't get healing from your allies, he can't be CC'd by your allies, he can't get heals and shields from his allies, none of that stuff. Even stuff like Soraka Ultimate shouldn't go through. And this is a point-and-click targeted ability with a decent range and a short cast time. And then for the duration, he steals 10% of the current target's armor, magic resist, health, attack damage, ability power, and attack speed. If he kills this target, he consumes his soul, keeping partial stats until they respawn. The actual important part here is this basically says no to the enemy carry. Whoever the most fed person on the enemy team is, or maybe whoever the most important person is on the team fight, you can just single them out and force them away from their team fights. So the most obvious one here is you smack the Sun 80 carry, and well, good luck. He's gonna use his Death Grasp on you. He's gonna smack you with his Obliterate. He's gonna have his Indestructible shield up, and he's just gonna destroy you. So this is kind of the most obvious use for this, but some slightly maybe less obvious uses for this obviously are to pull the enemy jungler out of the map when stuff like Baron is up, so that they cannot smite Baron and steal it. You can use this on stuff like Soraka, so that she cannot heal her allies whenever she is in your ult. You can use this on stuff like Janna, so she can't use her ult to disengage. You use this on stuff like Fed Assassins and Fighters, just to give your team time to deal with the rest of their team. So this is going to be a super interesting, unique ability that is mainly going to be used to single out a target and kill them, but also it does have some uses in just removing a target from a team fight, so that your 4-on-4 is much stronger, especially if you are relatively weak. If you pull out the enemy's most fed carry and then just pop your shield and stand there for a bit and try to soak up as much damage as you can, hopefully your team can win the 4-on-4 with their strongest member gone, and you, in theory, as not the strongest member, still there. But this is good for cutting out globals, cutting out just anything that interacts with other players. I'm not sure how this... So top lane, you could use this to stop like an enemy Shen from ulting, stop a TP, stop a Galio, stop a Tom Kench ports as well. This is a good way to stop that. So yeah, this is all in all, he looks like a solid AP bruiser that has a 3-hit passive that gives him move speed, a good damage ability, a good defensive ability, some CC, and the ultimate, which we're going to have to see over time how good it actually is, how easy it is to actually kite Mordekaiser inside of his ultimate, what standard Mordekaiser itemization is will have a big part in this. For example, if Mordekaiser is a champion that still goes something like Proto Belt into Bryalized Crystal Scepter, it'll be much harder to kite him in this, and he'll just slow you and kill you even if you are a champion that maybe traditionally could space him out and kill him. So just some thoughts on maybe possible runes and itemization. For his main rune, I assume he'll be taking something like Phase Rush so he can speed at his enemies, so he can use this Obliterate more, so he can get a good ult off. Maybe there's some situations where he's taking a damage keystone, such as Electrocute, or maybe even Glacial Augment, with items that affect that, or items that are good with that, but we'll have to see. Personally, I think he looks like a decent champion. He's going to be he's going to kind of be situational in that he is kind of a relatively immobile fighter, in that he doesn't have tons of dashes, which is good design-wise, but not necessarily good power-wise. Realistically, the problem with most fighters and why they feel super annoying to play against the solo queue is most of them have a million dashes or have very short cooldowns on dashes, and that more or less eliminates, for most of them, their weakness of being kiteable inside of a team fight or inside of a side lane. But all in all, his kit looks relatively alright. He is going to be relatively numbers reliant though, as he does not necessarily have a lot of hyper unique utility inside of his kit. Yes, the Realm of Death is good, but is interesting and does create some possible interesting situations, but this is a champion that is going to probably be a relatively good snowballer, going to be a fantastic split pusher, and going to have a lot of utility inside of this ultimate. Even if you are 1v1 with someone in a side lane, just popping the ult on them just to get the 10% of their stats could be really good late game. And you also have to consider who you pop this on in a team fight. Something that'll be interesting is you might just pop it on someone whose stats you can steal. So maybe in a normal situation, you would ult the AD carry, but maybe there's an enemy Cassiopeia that has, 600, 700 AP, and if you ult her and steal her AP, it'll just give you tons of stats, or tons of damage, and you'll be able to roll through the team fight. So it'll be interesting to see how this champion shakes out, but all in all, I think this is a good rework. But quite not as, it's kind of hard to compare it to, since most of the last reworks have created kind of just absolute monsters of champions, with stuff like Akali and Irellia, who are just bonkers levels of insane inside their kits, whereas this looks like a more balanced and controlled kit with just this really unique ability on this ultimate. So I hope you I hope you liked the video. This is my thoughts on my initial thoughts on Mordekaiser, and I hope you have a great day.